Well, I think the blog on feminism and religion is a very important project. It seems to me, first of all, simply that the topic of feminism and religion is out there as a topic, and that people can really explore all kinds of aspects of that because people have very different relationships to that. For example, one of the students in the class that I'm teaching on feminism and religion talks about her own strong commitment to feminism in kind of social relations, and yet when she decided to go for a wedding, she found that she had these kind of gut negativity toward having a woman preside at the wedding. And she didn't know where that was coming from. Is this just, her false consciousness from her previous socialization? What's going on here? And I think that turns out to be very complicated. And it often has a lot to do with how people have connected mother or father with God in their growing up. For example, another student talked about the fact that she really couldn't deal with the idea of God as mother because she had such a neurotic mother. And she had to spend so much of her life really being the mother because her own mother was incapable of mothering. And so I'm just saying all of these things are very complicated. How our conceptions of religion, symbolism, God, and so on are interrelated with our psychological and cultural development. And this blog really allows people to kind of freely explore all of that. And I think an important piece of this is that a blog by its very nature sort of dismantles the hierarchy of the specialists and the ordinary people in society. In other words, some people might think, well, I can't talk about this because I haven't read all the literature. I don't know all of the arguments, and I don't know the history and so on. Whereas I think a blog like this really allows people to launch into the particular piece of their own experience as authoritative for them and to explore it without having to feel like they're not the experts or they're not, trained in this area or something like this. So in that sense, there's a democratic aspect of dismantling this kind of hierarchy between expert and people's own experience, which of course they are experts in their own way. So I think these are very important. In this kind of free exchange and communication, but in a certain sense between people's experiences in all kinds of contexts. There's also the whole possibility of kind of international communication and therefore conversation across feminism in the context of different cultures, because feminism by its very nature has to be contextualized in terms of people's class location, their cultural location, what feminism means for somebody raised as a Jew or a Muslim or a Buddhist, and what kind of Judaism and Islam and Buddhism, in what kind of cultural context, how that would be different, for example, if you grew up in a certain part of Africa as a Muslim. All of those many contextualized frameworks for discussing feminism and religion can really be accessed, and people can talk out of their many experiences around the world. For example, I recently got an email from a woman in Iran, and she was asking me if I could give her some kind of resources on feminist theology because she wanted to do research on it, but there was no resources at all at her university in Tehran. Now, my sense is that there is resources in Tehran, but her professors were not they didn't have the resources to tell her about it. And so I sent her my syllabus, but this really allows this woman to come into conversation, and then it becomes possible for her to start thinking about her own context, not just dependent on kind of Western resources, but beginning to think about it in her own context and so on. So I think all of these are part of the richness of having this kind of blog.